This person loves the fact that it is so effortless to align with you, to connect with you. This is somebody who feels that the two of you are in sync. You just vibe with one another. You just get them. And this is something that it feels like is not usual either this early into a connection or at all, where it's almost like I'm looking in the mirror at myself and another person, and I'm not hypercritical. I'm not running away in fear. It's actually what you're showing them, what you're showcasing to them, how they're showing up in this connection. It's like the more they spend time with you, the more they are able to develop a better understanding about themselves and to cultivate a healthy relationship with themselves as well. So how you've shown up in this connection so far, or just like how you're living your life in general, it's giving this person a lot of confidence to as well step more into their own authenticity as they are living their life, as they're pursuing different goals and dreams, and also in terms of a level of courage that it feels like is really coming to the surface in this situation, as far as ways in which they want to show up for you, show you kind of another layer of themselves, or as they are even kind of adapting to the experience with you. Like right alongside you, this love is evolving as the two of you are evolving with one another. So this is somebody that feels like very confident at this moment in time, trying out new things as far as like ways to show up in partnership and romance. This is somebody who may be on a creative streak at this particular point in time, and is kind of like imagining different sorts of ways in which not only can you develop more closeness with one another, but what are some of the ways that they can use those positive and high vibrational energies to affect other areas of their life in a beautiful way. You add so much beauty to the landscape of this person's reality, that there's a sense of them feeling like it's only right, or it's only natural for us to get closer to one another, for us to continue to be vulnerable with one another, to continue to respect one another's boundaries, and to continue to push past those boundaries so that we are not just kind of succumbing to this concept of divine timing, but we are making the stars align for the two of us in the here and now. This is somebody, it feels like, that likes the fact that there is still a sense of mystery in this. There's still so much more to discover, or you keep showing them different sides of yourself on a daily basis, which it feels like continues to fascinate them. This is something that they are reflecting at this particular point in time as well. Like when they first met you or first started getting to know you, compared to like everything that they know now, or everything that you've shown them now. And there's a sense of like there are so many layers to you that were very unexpected, that they feel that this is some kind of almost like privileged information, that you've given them access to facets of your personality, that it feels like not just anybody that comes up very casually in your life or in your experience gets to know this side of you, or brings the right energy and effort forth with themselves in order to be able to kind of very naturally or very organically get you to open up like this. So it feels like when this person kind of like walks away from experiences with you, this is something that they feel very proud of themselves, like they're very effectively showing up in this romantic connection in ways in which they may feel at times that like there's still more alignment that could happen, or there's like better communication that could happen, or a sense of almost like any kind of awkwardness or misunderstandings, rather than getting really frustrated by that and taking it into a place of like wounded ego. This is somebody that like is very encouraged, because there's a sense that they think about kind of the in-between moments. They look back on conversations, they think about those experiences with you, and there's a sense of like, okay, how could I improve on that? How could I do better? Not from a self-critical place, but almost from the sense of like, you're showing up so fully and so completely that it's giving this person permission to like show up even more fully and completely than they have so far, or that they have felt is kind of like comfortable or even welcome in loving partnerships. It's like the way that you love is just so deep, it's so real, it's so rich, that this person is like, okay, I guess I can show up in that way, whatever that looks like for me as well. And you're somebody who would respond to that. You're somebody who would appreciate that. You're somebody that like you've indicated that's the frequency you want to operate on. And so this person is really kind of like letting their guard down and almost shifting into a more comfortable version version of themselves in order to continue to show up for you in that way. Yeah, we also have Crow. So you definitely have this person looking towards kind of like future potentials in this situation, thinking about ways in which to intelligently build with you. This is something where they may have just kind of like surrendered to this connection in the past, or they were like, I'm not going to put any expectations on things. We're just going to see what happens. I'm just going to kind of go with the flow or be open and spontaneous. And like that has worked to a certain extent to get the two of you where you are at in the situation right now. That might have actually been necessary, kind of like a karmic pattern of trying to control outcomes that this person needed to break. That so far the experience with you, the ways in which you've taken the lead energetically or actually in this situation, even in the form of kind of like giving them feedback about things that aren't working for you, or establishing boundaries when you felt like your needs weren't being met, that has caused this person to kind of like release some of that energy of like the desire to control, to release that kind of urge to operate purely from a logical place, when what is required in this situation is pure emotions. That's brought you to this place in the here and now, where now this person feels empowered, like, okay, I got over some sort of challenge, some sort of hurdle, maybe like a fear of opening up, a fear of being seen, a fear of being vulnerable. And so it's almost something where they want to take the opportunity for whatever can happen next between the two of you, to build in a direction that feels like is more of a conscious creation. They don't want to leave anything to chance. They're sort of like, okay, I'm confident getting back in the driver's seat in this situation because, kind of trusting, having the cruise control on, just going with the flow of this experience has brought us to this particular place in time. And so there are certain goals that I want to accomplish here. There are certain things that I want to experience with you. There's a version of myself that is sitting very close to the surface, that wants to be heard, that wants to be seen, that wants to experience this connection or show up in partnership with you in the ways in which you are showing up. And so this is requiring me to kind of look towards the horizon and really kind of scan that landscape, plan accordingly. This is somebody that is not just kind of thinking about tomorrow in the situation. Their mind is starting to work in terms of like, okay, what's going to be the case next month? Where are we going to be at in 6 months? What is going to be the circumstance between the two of us a year from now? And it's like they're taking into account those sort of like long-term plans as they are, kind of pacing themselves with how much they are giving, how much they are kind of receiving from you energetically and actually, because it feels like this person has stumbled over certain almost like fears in the past of kind of drinking too deeply of this connection, or of romantic connections with other people, and like a fear that that would be taken away, or at a certain point in time maybe that you'd get bored with them, you decide you don't like them anymore, you'd change their mind. And so this is somebody that has been trying to kind of like take a very measured approach, it feels like, to this situation, so they didn't get in too deep, so they didn't fall in love too quickly, so that they could almost try and, negotiate with their own feelings in a certain sense. And you have held this person's hand. You've like helped them to kind of move beyond that sense of like, I have to tread very deliberately through love and through partnerships, almost kind of looking at love as a battle. Love is a battlefield, and something that they need to kind of therefore be very cautious or very mindful over. You've met them with that sort of mindset, and you've helped them to kind of move into a place where love and the experience of partnership and romance, at least between the two of you, that it's a dance, that it's an experience, that it's swaying between those polarities of, being very yielding and very willing, and at the same point in time, being cautious and fearful. Like you've honored both aspects within this person and you've moved accordingly. And so it's put them now in a place of kind of like, okay, I needed that. I needed to be shaken out of my comfort zone in some sort of way so that I could get this higher perspective. I could see my blind spots in this circumstance. And it feels like moving forward, this is someone that wants to be more conscious or more conscientious in terms of how they're showing up. This is something where in the past, if this person had kind of like shut away from you, like shut down emotionally when they were going through things, they were stressed out, or, like fears about commitment, or, the nature of what was happening between the two of you kind of caught up with them. This is somebody that feels like they want to keep a very close eye on that tendency within themselves, to kind of go in their shell or put their walls up, because there's a sense of like, I don't need to do that with you anymore. I'm confident that there's like a different approach that I could take that's better for me, that's better for you, it's better for us. This is somebody that doesn't want to, create like confusion or misunderstandings between the two of you. And so this is somebody that feels like that is starting to move into that territory of like intelligent conversation. Like when they have that urge to retreat, to instead counteract that and, push closer. It could be their version of almost sort of like asking for help in this situation, as far as like, okay, I know that there are certain aspects within me that have gotten in the way of us kind of building trust, building a mutual understanding with one another. And I might not be in the place where I can talk about that openly. That might not be part of this person's character disposition, or, what's intended to happen in this lifetime. But it feels like it is a very profound step forward, rather than kind of like responding to that trigger, to get overwhelmed, or like anything where they might have had control issues in this circumstance in the past. There's a sense of kind of like bringing you in on that. They may start to even kind of like, as they're making decisions about this connection further, kind of just talking about that with you, even if they're very determined in their actions, sort of like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I feel like, should happen. This is where I envision us, moving forward. This is what I feel about this. This is what I think about this. This is what I want in this circumstance. So it feels like more kind of like honest communication in that sense. You're going to have a greater idea that this is somebody that is not just, in it for the moment. This is not somebody that is kind of just standing here temporarily, not sure which direction they want to move in, but this is somebody that is interested in kind of evolving forward with you and taking, it feels like, a new approach to do that, because you've inspired something different inside of them to like course correct in this situation, to get ahead of the curve of like anything where, they'd put the wall up, they'd put the guard up, and, it would create like a distance or like a silence between the two of you. This is somebody that doesn't want to do that. They don't want that to happen in this situation, because they see it as a very precious circumstance, where it's kind of like they know from past experiences, other situations that they've been in, that to close off to people and circumstances, it often just creates like distance rather than a thing of shelter or self-protection. And so this is something where, it's kind of like they want to evolve beyond that, as far as how they're showing up with you. So it feels like kind of get ready for this person, to touch on things very directly, to be very direct in the nature of their communication, not just kind of like, this is what's happening in the moment, but this is what I envision happening for us moving forward. And these are the steps that I'm estimating that we will take in order to get there together. Yeah, we have golden egg. So they definitely see you as a very rare individual. This is a rare opportunity. This is something where they want to handle the circumstance between the two of you very delicately, but at the same point in time, they understand it needs to be nurtured in order to work with that concept of time, like where you're at right now versus where, they envision happening, moving forward between the two of you. Like, you're here right now. It'll take time in order to get to that point a year from now. But this is not somebody that wants to just take a passive approach. They like want to use that space and that distance of time very constructively. They feel that this is a great opportunity for the two of you to start to exercise kind of like different sort of co-leadership skills with one another, or something where it's kind of like, we're both sort of looking out for each other. We're both kind of like looking towards those blind spots within ourselves in order to be able to be more mindful of those, because they see that you're doing that in some sort of way. They've noticed a shift or a change within you, some other facet within you where, things that might have kind of triggered this person in the past, it's not like you're, walking on eggshells with them, but it's kind of like you've taken note of those things and you've adjusted in some sort of way. You're either kind of like giving them some grace, giving them some compassion, giving them some space, or you're confronting certain things, which is kind of like, calling them to task in a certain way, and has caused them to become more alert, more mindful, more conscientious in this connection. And so this is something that they see kind of like personal growth that has happened so far for them in the situation has overall been a very good thing. And so there's a sense of like, if we keep working together in this way, I think that it's going to bring out some really beautiful aspects within you, really beautiful aspects within me. I think that you're the person that I've needed. I needed this kind of connection where, I'm not just kind of given a free pass to kind of behave however, but there are standards as far as how I am showing up. And this is kind of liberating this person as well. It feels like to be more direct about kind of talking about the things as well. It feels like that they would like you to improve upon, things that it's kind of like, this is a need, this is something that, I need and I haven't expressed it properly in the past. So let me take this opportunity so we don't kind of like trigger each other. There aren't more misunderstandings, or, it makes it easier to kind of navigate forward into a long-term sense. This could also be something where this is somebody who wants to start to express needs that they've never made known. They've never spoken about such things in other romantic connections because they weren't dealing with people in the past that were interested in hearing about that, or would have kind of the emotional or even like intellectual capability to not just kind of take what they were saying at face value and run with that into a wounded place, but to take that at face value and be like, okay, I see what you're saying here. This is the opportunity for kind of like compromise. This is the opportunity for sacrifice. This is the opportunity, for collaboration. This is the opportunity to kind of develop and grow as a team, sort of taking note of each of our individual kind of like strengths and our fears, and learning to work with that in more of like an adequate way. So this person definitely is like, they really treasure this connection. They really enjoy having you in their life. They want to experience more with you. They're excited about what the future holds. And so there's a sense of kind of like nestling in even closer with you, like combining forces with you, not just in a way that like we're spending more time together or more quality time together, but kind of the things that happen during those interactions, in addition to kind of like wonderful makeout sessions, or kind of like really great conversations about like things you're passionate about or special interests or things you have in common. This is somebody that wants to start to talk about almost like the connection as a project that the two of you are working on together. Where do we go from here? What do we do in order to navigate the landscape of our own personal histories and experiences that have created like this version of ourselves, with the perspectives that we have, and the interests that we have in kind of creating community within a romantic connection with one another, and how do we use that to kind of navigate through the unknown, through whatever ups and downs may happen between the two of us, or kind of in our lives as a whole, so that there is more of a guarantee that this kind of like seed of potential, or this like golden egg, the fullness of what is to come between the two of us, can be something beautiful, can be something healthy, can be something which flourishes, rather than something that withers if we got too kind of relaxed in the connection, or didn't take the opportunity maybe even to have like difficult or uncomfortable conversations. But it only feels like they're difficult or uncomfortable because they're so honest. Like, this person wants to be very honest with you about fears that they have, needs that they have, and also kind of bigger sort of dreams that they have, visions that they have for the future, or for the where they imagine this connection progressing, and like, talking about timetables, making definite plans, and working with you to sort of like, find ways in order to fit that in with your own expectations, needs, and desires, so that the two of you can get closer as a team, and work towards a partnership that has like more potential to be something deeply fulfilling and lasting. So, those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.